Some drummers learned entire set lists in 48 hours to save tours. Some joined bands that had literally ended and didn't exist anymore. Some rescued their groups from the worst reviews in history. Then came platinum albums, Grammy wins, and careers extended by decades. Here are 10 drummers who saved dying bands. Number 10, Phil Collins. Peter Gabriel quit Genesis after The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, and critics wrote the band off as finished. Gabriel wasn't just the singer, he was the theatrical, heart-wearing fox heads and flower costumes that made prog rock visual. Collins initially suggested Genesis continue as an instrumental band, which everybody jeered at. The band auditioned over 400 vocalists across 18 months. None worked. Collins had been singing backup for each audition until producer David Henschel finally observed the timbre of his voice was not dissimilar to Peter's. The drummer reluctantly grabbed the microphone and transformed their commercial trajectory. A Trick of the Tail in 1976 hit number 3 UK, their first broad American success. Rolling Stone noted Genesis managed to turn the possible catastrophe of Gabriel's departure into their first American breakthrough. Invisible Touch in 1986, and 5 consecutive UK #1 albums followed, with estimated sales of 100 to 150 million albums. Collins later reflected that becoming the singer was not in his mind. It was just that nobody else really wanted the job. Number 9, Steve Smith. Columbia Records was about to drop Journey. Their first 3 albums charted at number 138, number 100, and number 85, a declining trajectory that had label executives demanding changes. Drummer Ainsley Dunbar was the first casualty. Manager Herbie Herbert explained the firing bluntly. The problem with Ainsley was that he was anything but a team player, playing erratically and talking derogatorily about other members while doing everything to look great. Steve Smith deliberately modified his playing for commercial rock. Evolution in 1979 peaked at number 20 with their first top 20 single. Departure in 1980 hit number 8. Escape in 1981 reached number 1 on the Billboard 200, 9 times platinum with Don't Stop Believin', Open Arms, and Who's Crying Now. Frontiers in 1983 peaked at number 2, selling 6 million copies. Smith inherited 1/6 of $1 million debt to Columbia Records and left behind the 11th best-selling band in U.S. history with 100 million albums sold worldwide. Number 8, Scott Travis. By the late 1980s, Judas Priest was being dismissed as passé and unable to compete with younger thrash bands like Metallica, Anthrax, and Slayer. Turbo in 1986 featured synth guitars that alienated hardcore fans. Ram It Down in 1988 peaked at only number 31, their first album in years to fail platinum certification. AllMusic called it the lowest point of Halford's tenure. Worse, the album used drum machines in the studio because drummer Dave Holland couldn't handle faster material. Bassist Ian Hill admitted Dave Holland was a good drummer, but he couldn't handle double bass drums. Scott Travis from technical speed metal band Racer X arrived in 1989, and his 15-second unaccompanied drum intro on Painkiller announced Priest's resurrection. The title track, Metal Meltdown, Nightcrawler, and A Touch of Evil showcased thunderous double bass assault. Painkiller in 1990 sold over 2 million copies worldwide, earned a Grammy nomination, and ranks among the top 5 releases in the band's catalog. Louder magazine credited Travis with reinvigorating the band like an emergency room defibrillator. Number 7, Frankie Banali. When Randy Rhoads left Quiet Riot in 1979 to join Ozzy Osbourne, vocalist Kevin DuBrow didn't sugarcoat it. The departure didn't derail the band, it ended it. The band officially dissolved in 1980. DuBrow spent 2 years playing LA club circuits under the name DuBrow with various musicians. Their first 2 albums only released in Japan with 0 US presence. Frankie Banali initially turned down DuBrow's 1980 invitation because he was juggling 5 other bands. By 1982, Banali helped convince DuBrow to revive the Quiet Riot name with Rhoads' blessing. Metal Health in March 1983 became the first heavy metal album to reach #1 on the Billboard 200, knocking The Police off the top spot. Come On Feel the Noise became the first heavy metal song to crack the top 5, reaching #5. Metal Health and Slick Black Cadillac dominated MTV. The album sold over 10 million copies worldwide, 6 times platinum in the US. On November 26, 1983, Quiet Riot became the first heavy metal band to simultaneously have a top 5 single and #1 album. Number 6. Mikkey Dee. The March or Die sessions were a disaster. Epic Records dropped Motorhead, the band was locked in legal battles that kept them out of the studio for 4 years, and legendary drummer Phil "Filthy Animal" Taylor could no longer perform. Guitarist Phil Campbell didn't mince words. He just didn't have it. He couldn't play 4 bars without fucking up. For 3 years, we gave it our best shot, but he couldn't see anything wrong with his drumming. Taylor was fired in 1992, and March or Die infamously used 3 drummers on one album. Lemmy had been trying to recruit Dee since 1985. It took 7 years for him to say yes. His first shows were brutal. Fans literally stood pointing at him, asking, "How can you bring this wanker into the band?" Lemmy defended him fiercely. "Get out of my dressing room, Mickey's unbelievable." The Lemmy, Phil Campbell, Mikkey Dee lineup became the longest lasting in band history, 23 years and 1,049 shows. Motorhead won their first Grammy Award in 2005. Dee brought stability after years of chaos, transforming a band where members were going all over the place because they never listened to the drummer. Before we continue with number 5, I want to hear from you. How many of these drummer saves did you know about, and which one surprised you the most? Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. We have people tuning in from all over the world. Number 5, Cozy Powell. David Coverdale's Whitesnake had success in Britain, but 0 presence in the United States. Their albums simply didn't chart in America. The band was plagued by lineup chaos, management disputes, and strained member relationships. Coverdale acknowledged members were cruising along on gold status while he was hungry for platinum. Geffen A&R executive John Kolodner assessed it bluntly. David Coverdale was a star frontman with a mediocre band and just average songs. Drummer Ian Pace, the Deep Purple legend, had become increasingly distant and unfocused during the Saints and Sinners sessions and was dismissed. Powell, fresh from Rainbow and already legendary in hard rock circles, brought the aggressive power Coverdale needed for his American Assault. Slide It In 1984 became their first platinum album and first US top 40 entry with Love Ain't No Stranger and the title track. Whitesnake in 1987 sold 8 million US copies and 10 million worldwide. Here I Go Again hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Is This Love reached number 2, and Still of the Night became a classic. From 0 US chart presence to diamond-selling album and number 1 single, Powell's explosive style from Rainbow gave the band immediate credibility. Number 4, Matt Cameron. Pearl Jam's drummer situation had become a running joke. In just 8 years, they cycled through 5 drummers. Dave Cruzen left before 10 released due to addiction. Matt Chamberlain departed for the SNL Band. Dave Abruzzese was fired in 1994, and Jack Irons left in 1998 due to health issues. Guitarist Mike McCready quipped, "It's very Spinal Tap of us to have this many drummers." Cameron, whose own band Soundgarden had just imploded, had actually played on Pearl Jam's first demos in 1990 before they even met Eddie Vedder. When Irons left, Cameron had 3 weeks to learn the entire catalog. He later admitted he was playing way too fast and had to chill out. The result was 27 years of unprecedented stability, by far the longest tenure of any Pearl Jam drummer. 7 studio albums, including Binaural, Riot Act, Pearl Jam, Backspacer, Lightning Bolt, Gigaton, and Dark Matter. Consistent touring, no more revolving door. When Cameron departed in July 2025, Eddie Vedder stated, "What he's done for the group is unfathomable, not just as a drummer, but as a human, a musician, a songwriter." Number 3. Chris Adler. Super Collider in 2013 received the worst Metacritic score of 2013 at 41 out of 100. Critics compared it unfavorably to Risk, previously considered Megadeth's Nadir. Then, on November 25th and 26th, 2014, guitarist Chris Broderick and drummer Sean Drover quit within hours of each other after 7 years. Dave Mustaine was left with only bassist David Ellefson from the prior lineup. Mustaine called Lamb of God drummer Chris Adler at 6 a.m., while Adler was recording his own album, pitching directly that he wanted to make a sick thrash record. Adler brought more than technical precision, he brought conviction, admitting he was really pushy about making everything heavier. According to Adler, basically Dave and I wrote that entire record. Dystopia in 2016 peaked at number 3, the highest since 1992, with 48,000 first-week sales, a 65% increase over Super Collider. The Metacritic score jumped to 69 out of 100. Fatal Illusion, The Threat Is Real, the title track Dystopia, and Post-American World showcased the heaviest Megadeth in years. Megadeth won their first ever Grammy for Best Metal Performance. Mustaine reflected that when Kiko and Chris came into the picture, it was a breath of fresh air. Number 2. Cozy Powell. When Ritchie Blackmore formed Rainbow after leaving Deep Purple, his debut album featured a lineup he quickly deemed inadequate. Bassist Jimmy Bain described the audition process. "We'd go to the other side of the building and play pool. After 20 minutes, the guy would be falling apart. We did this about 14 times and nobody even came close. And then Cozy arrived." Powell's impact was immediate and historic, bringing the explosive power that defined Rainbow's greatest era. Rising in 1976, reached number 6 UK and number 48 US, certified gold in multiple countries. Kerrang! Magazine later named it the number 1 greatest heavy metal album of all time in their influential 1981 poll. Stargazer, Tarot Woman, A Light in the Black, and Starstruck featured full orchestra and became landmarks in heavy metal. Jeff Beck understood Powell's caliber. Cozy Powell and I played for about a minute, and you could see all the other drummers packing up their kits. Rainbow continued commercial success through Down to Earth in 1979 with hit singles Since You've Been Gone and All Night Long. What started as Blackmore's post-purple experiment became one of the defining bands of late 70s hard rock. Number 1. Nigel Glockler. Saxon's original drummer Pete Gill injured his hand 3 days before their first major world tour supporting Denim and Leather, the album that would establish them as NWOBHM legends. 3 UK top 20 singles were waiting: Princess of the Night, Never Surrender, and the Bands Played On. The entire tour and Saxon's commercial momentum hung in the balance. Glockler, formerly of Toya, was recruited through Saxon's manager. With one task, learn 19 songs in 2 days. He wrote everything in his language: guitar left starts, 4 bars, smash, fill in, keeping notes on a little table with a light during his first gig on October 7, 1981 at Brighton Center, his hometown. He'd actually bought tickets to the show before getting the call. Originally hired as temporary fill-in, that plan was scrapped after one night. The Eagle Has Landed live album in 1982 reached number 5 UK. Power in the Glory in 1983 became Saxon's best-selling album worldwide, with 15,000 copies sold in Los Angeles alone in its first week. Glockler proved himself for over 40 years, survived a brain aneurysm in 2014, and returned. Saxon sold 23 million records, all built on a drummer who learned their entire catalog in 48 hours.